on the Rhody Sports Network.
You know, to be quite honest with you, it's humbling to be with good people. That's what we wanted to be a part of.
This is the Archie Miller Show. For the next hour, we'll bring you an inside look at Rams basketball. Tonight's show is brought to you by Pizza Gourmet. Rhode Island's wood-grilled pizza crust is a proud sponsor of URI Athletics. Dunkin' Donuts. Sip the Rhody way. Rhode Island Medical Imaging, the official medical imaging company of URI Athletics. Newport Propane, Rhode Island's #1 choice for all your propane needs. Ortho Rhode Island, the official orthopedic and sports medicine provider for URI Athletics. Dave's Fresh Marketplace, better food, better service. Bank RI, bank on our strength. Now, here's your host, Steve MacDonald.
All righty, welcome back to another edition of the Archie Miller Coaches Show at our favorite place, the Mews Tavern. George McAuliffe, part owner and manager of the Mews. He was on the Loyola trip.
Yep.
George was, and he got into town with the team. You know, not too late at night, right? In the evening, late evening. George went out socializing in the Windy City. Yeah. We didn't see him until game time the next day. You know, 20 years ago, George had been up for breakfast. This time around, we're lucky he made the second half.
We're glad he was on the trip. Anybody who's willing to land at 5 in the morning.
No kidding,
come
right?
with us anytime they want.
Absolutely. George is the absolute best. We appreciate all that he does for us all year long. The best. I want to thank everybody for coming out to the Archie Miller Coaches Show here at the Mews, and especially thank our friends from Haxton's Liquors. Haxton's Liquors, where they buy the most, so you pay the least. Visit them at Bald Hill Road today. And Haxton's Liquors, I'm sure, has the two Rhode Island beers,
Definitely.
right? The IPA and the Rhody Ruckus, so you can get them there. Coach, tough one a couple of days ago, but or was it yesterday? It was yesterday, wasn't it? Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Tuesday.
Okay, 2 days. I was right. 14-5, 3-4 in the league play right now, and VCU kind of swarmed you a little bit. Just talk about their relentless defense and how tough it is to play against it.
Well, VCU, they played terrific. I thought that they had a lot to do with our struggles in the game. They're very difficult to, prepare for without seeing it live.
Yeah.
I think you'll always be better once you play them a couple times and whatnot. But in that game in particular, I've never been in a game with 27 turnovers, I don't believe. Obviously, that had a lot to do with them. And then, mentally just fatigued us and broke us down where we didn't play well enough to win the game in any area. The thing we dressed our team with, especially coming off the game, is what do we have to do moving forward to be more consistent? And I think it's very, very apparent defensively, where we're at here at the end of January and where we're going to have to go in February. And just our ability level to communicate, our transition defense in general, our organization, getting back, whether it's a turnover, whether it's a miss, or whether it's a make. Uncharacteristically, we've really fallen, so to speak, off the bus in that area, and that's something that we're going to have to get corrected quickly and get back to playing a hard-nosed team, like a hard-nosed team does.
You don't see a lot of teams with that style of play anymore, that havoc defense, that full court, 94 feet. A lot of guys work in the half court. Is it hard to replicate that at practice because you got guys that don't do that all the time?
Yeah, it's hard to replicate anything that you never really see, especially from our standpoint. We didn't have a quick turn. We had a quick turnaround in the game. But I think what VCU does a good job of is they don't stop. Some teams will press a little bit. Some teams will press in special situations. Mm-hmm. But very few teams will press for 40 minutes on all makes and dead balls.
Right.
And usually teams that do that at some point in time in a game find a way to impose sort of their will, break you down. You have a couple silly turnovers, and the next thing you know, sort of they're gaining confidence and momentum. And in our game, as a coaching staff, needed to help our team a lot better, whether it be press offense. That could have really helped us, in some organizational standpoints. And then from a player standpoint, you got to be strong with the ball to get open and bring it up and then be organized when you get it across. So I think that they shell-shocked us a little bit just in terms of the overall relentlessness of every single possession. Here it comes. We did not handle it well, so it made it easier on them. But I think moving forward, you got to take a look at the overall game and say, how can you improve in these areas when you see it again?
Yeah, and relentless is the word, right? Because as the game goes on, it just builds and builds.
Wears
and
you
builds.
down.
It seemed like it's 7-on-5 at sometimes when you guys were on offense.
Yeah, wears you down. They're disciplined with it as well. They make it hard to get it in. They foul, they grab, and at the end of the day, they're willing to, to be aggressive and maybe get some fouls called on them because they want that physical nature of the game to be there. I thought, for the first time in a long time, though, even in the half court, their half-court defense, their length, their size, their physical play, their ability level, their front-court players to put two on the ball and trap and do some things. They had a lot of different versions of themselves in that game. I thought that was playing at a pretty high level defensively. And, they're one of the better defensive teams in the country, and I think they showed they're one of the better teams in not only our league, but I think they can do some damage against anybody. They have a good team. And, for us, it's a learning curve that hopefully down the road we see them again, we're better.
14-5, Coach. If we were talking maybe a couple of weeks before the UConn exhibition game, and I said on this date you're going to be 14-5, would you say that's about right, or hey, it's a little better than expected, or?
I don't know. I think, as you go through the season, you can look back and say there's probably about 10 games we could have won or lost.
Yeah.
We found a way to win some, especially in the non-conference. We came out with an 11-1 record. I think we're disappointed in our start to Atlantic 10 play.
Sure. Yeah.
I also think we've been battling a lot of adversity. Today was the first day since January 3rd that we were able to practice 5-on-5 up and down the floor. We've just had a myriad of guys in and out. We've had the inability to really be consistent in terms of how we're working. And I think you're starting to see some deterioration, whether it be offense one game or defense one game, just us being ourselves and being confident and being a team who does things in a certain way every day. We lost that in the last 3 weeks, and it hurt us. But you're also, hopefully, that'll come back around. Today was a good day for our group to start to compete again and get back playing basketball again in a practice setting. And I think as we can sort of get some rhythm back in terms of how we're preparing to play games, hopefully that'll bring a more consistent approach for us in the game.
It's a magic word, right? Rhythm. 9-0 to start the year, 5-5 since then.
Yeah.
And here's those 10, the 5-5. Loss, win, win. Loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, right?
Yeah.
So the good news is that every loss was followed by a win.
We've hung
The bad
tough.
news is you haven't gone on that streak.
We've hung tough. You start on the road against Duquesne, and Duquesne's playing much different right now than they played in the non-conference. We did not play well in that game.
Mm-hmm.
We had a great approach coming back to playing a really good George Mason team, one of our better wins of the season.
Only
right?
loss for them of the year.
Yeah. And then after the George Mason game, things took a turn in terms of our numbers. We lost 2 front court players. We really had a quick turnaround to re-prepare our team to play with new guys and new spots, and I thought that really took effect in the George Washington game. To our guys' credit, we went on the road at Richmond and absolutely battled our butts off to be in that one, not played particularly well for a half. And then in the second half, we gained confidence. We did a better job, and we were able to pull a road win out, down 2 more bodies. And I thought that was a heck of a sign for our team's fight. Back on the road again at Loyola. Next thing you know, we have 3 ankles in one day.
Unreal.
And we're sitting there as a coaching staff in the midst of a game, turning our head down to sub, and there's no one to sub. We were up against it at Loyola with what we were dealing with. And again, right there to win that game, played extremely hard. I told the guys as soon as the game was over, I got no problems with the way we played tonight. We got to be better. But the bottom line is with the adversity we were dealing with, to watch us fight through, great sign. And then we come back. Davidson, I thought it was a shootout. Best offensive game we've played probably in a long, long time. Guys shared the ball, consistently scored the ball, and for the most part, really was the reason we were able even to hang in. And then we surged defensively in that game. We're able to get back in it, get a lead. Next thing you know, it's one of those. It seems we're accustomed to about a 2-minute game where it's nip and tuck. And then our guy Sebastian, he bailed us out with a Hail Mary runner off the glass, and we're able to find a way to win that one. And I tell you what, the emotional drain of what our guys have been through and had to prepare, especially with how we've had to practice and try to work them into the games, hasn't been advantage us.
Mm-hmm.
We have lost our edge physically. We've lost our ability level to run back on defense and get set. And we've been playing with a lot of weirdness. And I think the fatigue of our mindset mentally over 3 games in 6 days, guys being out, we've had a lot of ups and downs, and I think that's why we've played a little bit up and down. The other night we got whipped. There wasn't anything to talk about in that one.
Yeah.
And I think we have to learn from that and move forward here now as we head to Saturday with a little bit more of a normal rhythm back in school, so to speak, and maybe more of a little bit of a prep time. But we have to play really hard at LaSalle. We have to get back to feeling good about our effort level. And at the end of the day, we know as we head towards February, we're searching for our best basketball.
Yeah, we'll talk about LaSalle in a little bit. You give an answer, and I've got 8 questions from your answer, so I'll kind of work backwards. I want to get to the injury report and find out where the status is on people. And it seems like people getting healthy, so that's great news. You mentioned Davidson, close and late. A lot of people in the press conference afterward were asking, you didn't call a timeout, 5.7 on the clock when the ball goes through, rip and run, and that guy sitting over there is going to be with us in a little bit. Sebastian Thomas was the hero once again, as he's been many times for you. What's the magic number on seconds, Coach? I've heard 7 from a lot of coaches. Over 7, let's get a timeout. Under 7, let's go. Do you have a number, or do you have a set plan?
Not on a timeout.
No.
I think part of it is what's the sequence of events that happens. Are you stuck getting it inbound and you have to walk it up? Or are you in trouble in terms of your organization when you cross half court?
Yep.
And maybe you call it. If there's 20 seconds or 15 seconds and you have time to call a play, it may be best to organize your team. In a 6-second, 5-second, or 4-second thing, when you have the ability level to quick inbound and get the ball back up the floor when the defense isn't set, in my opinion, especially when you have a terrific point guard or a guy with the ball that you want to have the ball, I'm not calling timeout.
Yeah, right.
We didn't call timeout against George Mason. We had the ball in Sebastian's hands at the right time. It was, I believe, a tie game.
Yep.
It was a tie game.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, as long as we get the last shot, we're good. In this case, you're down 1, and your best player, or the guy you want to get the ball to anyway, has it on the run. I'm not stopping that one. He's going to have to get all the way to the basket or make a play for somebody. And you got to trust the fact that at the end of the day, if it goes good or bad, you had the guy with the ball you want. If you call timeout, and been in a lot of situations, that other coach can switch defenses. That other coach can switch their coverage. That other coach can sub the right guys in the game. And to me, sometimes not allowing them to help their team is advantage you. I've also been in that situation where you call timeout and your team needs you to help them. They're discombobulated out there.
Yeah.
But if you're in a situation on the run where you can have the ball in the guy in your hands, you're not going to get a better play call probably, especially when the defense can't get set. And to me, he did a great job in that sequence. David grabbed it out of the net and flipped it to him right away. There was no chance of us stopping him on a full-court push getting to the rim. 6 seconds, Sebastian has time to get all the way to the basket or make a play. In his case, shoot a runner off the backboard.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Another part of the repertoire.
Right.
Yeah, any timeout, anything you're drawing up is to get the ball to him. He's got it. Let's go.
Yeah, and, at the end of the day, they may say, hey, don't let him get it, or they may say double him, or they may say, at the end of the day, we're going to go zone. And like, that takes the advantage off of you. And but, they score with 30 seconds or 20 seconds. Maybe you blow it dead, call timeout, and you get a set.
I can't remember if it was you or Sabby in the postgame who said that, hey, we know how many seconds, how many bounces of the ball, how many dribbles you can make, things of that sort. How much attention at practice during, say, maybe a week is on close and late?
Sometimes we don't spend a lot of time on special situations, but in October and November we do a lot. Our guys know it's 1 second per dribble. And anything under 4, you got 4 bounces. Anything over, 5, you probably got 6 bounces. But it's a second a dribble. So in his mind, as he's bringing it up with 5.8, he's probably saying to himself, I got about 5. And I think he took 4 and shot it. But we talk about, like, dribbles per second, full court on the run versus a dead ball spot throw-in, and different situations like that as well.
Final question about that. Does it change with personnel? Last year, no real true point guard. This year, you certainly have that. Does that change your strategy late in the game?
No question about it. I mean, you want your fastest guy, your guy that's going to be able to get it up the floor as fast as possible in certain situations. And in certain cases, maybe that's not your point guard. In our case right now, it always is our point guard.
So the injuries, you mentioned David was out for a few games, back for 2. Boy, he came back, and it looked like he never missed any time against Davidson with 22 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, shot the ball terrifically well. VCU, he struggled. Everybody had tough one. Scale of 1 to 10, where is David as far as
I think
10 being very healthy?
Yeah, I think he'd probably put himself at around 80%.
Okay.
Good
enough to go?
Yeah, I think, what he's dealing with is he did it in Temple right at the end of the half before Christmas. And, whether it's I don't know how you want to, dictate it, but anytime he's above his arm or overextended, there's a chance that he has a flare-up. And, he came back off Duquesne and practiced well. First play against George Mason, he did it again. Mm-hmm. Same injury, extends his arm, and it goes out. So he plays the whole Mason game. And at that point, I think he said, if I'm going to do this every game, I need to see if I can get it calmed down, which I think he ended up missing 3 games for us.
Yeah, 3. Yep.
Yeah, he ended up missing 3 games for us. He's a big part of what we're doing.
And
I think right now as he comes back, he's probably not 100, but he's full go.
Yeah, you've mentioned that it's not just the points, not just stats from him.
No.
It's having the same people on the court that are usually on the court, the rhythm of your offense.
And the other team's preparation for you.
Yeah.
That's a big deal as well. But Dave does a lot more than just score and shoot.
Absolutely.
He's been really a hard-playing guy for us. He gives us some versatility on offense, but he also has been a really smart team defender for us all year.
I want to get back to the injuries, but you made me think of it when you mentioned David Duamore. Javonte Brown has, over the last few games, seemed to be more physical, more imposing.
Yeah.
Is that a change you see?
We're really trying to emphasize him on extra effort plays, extra effort, physical post-ups, where he's not just a roller to the rim.
Mm-hmm.
And he's having to deal with different styles of play,
which
is unique for him, whether they trap him or whether the different coverages on ball screens, some of which are good, some of which are not. Like, you play against Loyola, they decided to switch every screen for 40 minutes, and he took advantage of that in that game. And then he's had other games where he's not been as good, but he's had some other games where he's been great on both ends. I think what we're really trying to get him to do right now is think the game in terms of, like, as a big, how much can you cover up defensively? How many offensive rebounds can you get when the ball's not coming in? If they're trapping the post, at the end of the day, there's different ways to be effective. And we need Javonte to continue to bring that presence. And the better that he does, obviously, causes a lot more problems.
When the Loyola game, when Jamarcus and Quentin went out, Jamarcus came back that game. Q looked like he was ready to go the next game. So those guys seem to be back on track. Ty Farrell is the one, when I hear you talk about it, it's more of a long-term type of thing. Is it a season ender for him?
It's not a season ender by any stretch, but I think, he made a comeback to practice before VCU. I didn't plan on playing him against VCU because he's been out.
Yeah.
But he's probably about 60%, and he's going to have to get himself going here again. Hopefully by the end of January, he starts to work himself back into a good rhythm where he feels comfortable. And then as we head into February, hopefully he can regain himself in terms of being out. But he has the most significant ankle of anybody. And we were told probably between 3 and 4 weeks. That was back against Loyola when he did it, or the day of the Loyola game. So he's probably a week and a half to 2 weeks. He's not 100% by any stretch.
I love watching you coach, and I love your basketball IQ off the court as well, and as far as management, especially in this times of NCAA. And you went with some multiple red shirts this year, carved down the number of people active on the bench. I thought it was a great strategy. It's a gamble, and that gamble was teetering at that Loyola Chicago moment. Was there ever any conversation of burning a red shirt?
No, not really. We haven't really gotten to that point where if it was 6 guys for a 4-week stretch, maybe you do that, but I think, when you're dealing with a couple ankles, you'll get one back.
Right.
Or, David's deal, he showed significant improvement after a couple games. We thought we'd get him back. Not any necessarily burning a red shirt, but, when you're operating off about 10 guys on game day and you lose a couple, it puts some pressure on you. Really where it hurts you the most is your rhythm to be able to prepare and practice the right way. Once you start getting down to 7 or 8 guys in practice, it becomes very fatiguing for guys in practice in terms of like 7 guys, doing the workout. So I think, getting guys back today was the first time since January 3rd that we had the ability to go 5-on-5.
The red shirts, we're looking forward to seeing them in years to come. What do you see? You see them every day at practice. Maybe just a quick word on, not individually, but collectively, Always and Damon and Mook and Orsini, their development midway through the season.
All our young guys are typical freshmen who are redshirting, contributing in their own different ways, and they have they have the long thought process in their mind about how they can get better. It does speed them up because they go to college, they go to the weight room, they go to practice every day. So they're not wet behind the ears a year from now in that regard.
You like what you see so far?
Yeah, a lot of those guys have, different things that they're working on. Always has been terrific for us. He's added a lot of value. He's in practice every single day. Like today's practice, he practiced for 2 hours, straight and was able to help us in a lot of different ways. He's really improved as a player, and he's come off of his health injury a year ago, fully go.
You lose somebody like David for a few games and other people along the way, other opportunities. Quentin was one of the guys you turned to, and he's given you a real good contribution.
Yeah, once we got back from Christmas, we knew that the season was going to get long and we were going to need more firepower. And I think everybody on our team and program kind of viewed Q as a guy that was really going to help us. And at the end of the day, as we got going and got into a rhythm as a team, he was the one guy that started a little slow. Mm-hmm. And I think as we came off of Christmas and heading into conference, we thought he could help us. And inevitably, once we went with him, he showed sparks. And I think we have good confidence that Q's really going to be able to help. Unfortunately for him, he did turn his ankle, and he's probably not 100% right now, but I think everybody's glad that Q's a part of what we're doing because we feel like, one, he has the physical talent to help. He can make shots. He's a physical driver. He's a bigger body on the glass. He really can crash at times. We don't win at Richmond without him. Mm-hmm. George Washington, I thought he gave us a spark. Loyola, he didn't really play. He gave us some help against Davidson on a bad wheel. But if we can get Q sort of back into that grown, I think he makes us better.
Coach, you look at overall numbers, the 14-5 numbers, 19 games, and then the 7, 8, 10 games, so the most recent, obviously. Points per game, you're number one overall in the Atlantic 10 at 79 points per game, but in A10 competition, the last 7. So you look at either conference or the recent games, 68 points per game, 14th in the league. Yeah. Is that pace of game, or is that just lacking personnel at times?
I think it has a combination of the roster, the teams that we've put on the floor at times have been a little bit discombobulated at times.
Yeah.
I also think teams in our league are equal talent. You're maybe not extremely more physical than another team or better. So you got to execute. And what teams are trying to take away from us at times, we have to get better at handling. And the best that we've been is against Davidson at home. We've had some other games where we started off bad first halves but have really played well in the second half of games. So a half we've won it. But we have to be more consistent offensively in terms of our overall team has to play to its strengths. We got to continue to get better at handling what the other team's trying to do to us. And I do think that offensively we really got off to a tough start in league play. Part of it may be some injuries, some guys out, different rosters, different guys learning different spots on the fly. I think we can get that coming back around as we get healthy. My biggest concern as we're moving into February is our defense can't drop the bottom out. Mm-hmm. We have to be more solid defensively. And in our last 2 games in particular at home, we have not been very good in terms of nuts and bolts. Like when the shot goes up, you turn it over, you miss, you make. We got to get set. We got to get back. We're not communicating or running back well enough. And, in our half-court defense, I do think we're still pretty good in our half-court when we're set. But our full-court defense has really, really slacked. So I think as we move towards the end of January, early February, we got to get that back in check.
Your free throw attempts are down from overall to A10 by 5 a game, and your free throw makes are down by 4 a game. Does that tell you something about where your shots are coming from the offensive side?
No, I don't necessarily know if it's the shots that are coming inside. I think it's the quality of the offense that you're running. Is the ball getting to the paint consistently? Is it getting to the post consistently? Is our transition game playing fast enough? Because that's where we draw a lot of fouls.
Right.
Officiating has a lot to do with it on the road. Officiating has a lot to do with it in league play where they start to buckle down a little bit in terms of blowing the whistle. We've had some games where we've won in our conference because we've had great second halves at the line. We've had some games where we've shot free throws and we just haven't made them as well. But the free throw line continues to be something that we're stressing, and it's got to become that strength again at times when we're getting there by making them.
3 more things I want to bring up. First of all, the health of the league right now. Mason at the top, 6-1. The only loss coming to the University of Rhode Island. VCU, St. Louis at 5-1. And then a bunch of teams at anywhere from 4-2 to 3-4. And then they got 5 teams at the bottom that are lower than that number. So you're in that middle group fighting to get to upper echelon in the league. Health overall of the league. Net rankings go from 46 at VCU all the way down to 240 with Fordham. Your assessment of the health of the league?
Our league's really good. It's very balanced. I think George Mason, VCU in particular, from a roster standpoint, us seeing both of those teams up close and personal. I would say from a talent perspective, age, size, depth, both of those two teams stack up really, really well. And I think that both of them are extremely good on defense. So I think they're going to continue to win. Then there's a middle pack that, like, there's a group of people that are going to find a way to separate. And St. Louis, as conference play started, I think they've gotten healthy.
Yes.
And I think because they're healthy, they're starting to play a better style in terms of what they had in the non-conference. So I think they're starting to separate themselves in terms of being one of the better teams. And then, is Rhode Island going to ever win back-to-back and get ahead of the water, or is St. Bonaventure going to come back around, or is there going to be teams like St. Joe's that burst out? Like, there's some teams teetering right now just trying to find some semblance of one win will lead to a second will lead to a third, and they get ahead of the game a little bit. There's a group that's fighting, but it's very even. You could have, 3 through 10 or 11 by the end of the season be 1 or 2 games apart. It's not going to be much difference.
ESPN Plus lets you watch games from a week before up to present time. And so I'll go back and watch whoever they were playing most recently. Caught St. Joe's last couple of trips in the. They're uber talented.
He's super talented, super experienced, super talented. Wow. Got a really good team. I think they beat Davidson the other night pretty well on the road after a home loss to VCU.
What about LaSalle Saturday?
LaSalle's a typical Fran Dunphy team. They don't turn the ball over. They really rebound the ball really well. Each game that you see them play, they really kind of scout the team, and they don't give you the same look game in and game out. But they're always going to be a team that is hard to disrupt. They have good guard play who can really handle it. They're versatile defensively, where they can do a lot of different types of things and switching and whatnot. Playing them at LaSalle is always a very difficult game because going into Philly and playing at the new Tom Goal, I haven't seen it yet, but it's always a tough trip. But LaSalle's that team. You're never surprised by who they beat, and you're really never surprised maybe when they don't play as well. But each game that when you deal with them, you have to have the utmost respect for their coach and how they prepare. And to me, the way they take care of it, the way they rebound it, they're probably going to be a tough game for anybody any night.
We got some great young coaches in this Atlantic 10. I'm still counting you amongst the young coaches.
Oh, I don't know about that.
But Fran Dunphy is
he's not the youngest coach in the league,
right?
But I think most people would say if you could have one guy take your pick, he'd be at the top of the list.
I tell you, I remember him from the Temple days when we played him when he was
so do I. So do I.
Great guy.
I actually think he was the head coach at Penn when I was in college, and I played against Penn.
No kidding.
Maybe 1 year at NC State. Penn came in, but phenomenal coach, Hall of Fame coach at Penn, Hall of Fame coach at Temple, and then what he's done at LaSalle here to keep those guys, raising the level of their arena and trying to generate, some stability there.
He didn't go to retire there. He wanted to get some things done.
He clearly has a great purpose to help LaSalle, and I think that he's done a fantastic job.
I'll tell you a quick story. Back in the Temple days, we'd always have some nice conversations. Don Call, who was passed away, and my longtime friend and broadcast partner, he and Fran got along great because they're the same era and everything. So I was the third wheel, sitting there and listening to the stories, trying to remember them. But after Don passed, the first time that LaSalle was in, before the game began, Fran came right over and shook my hand. And
he's a really classy guy.
Yeah, he is.
If you ever look at college basketball in general down the road, and you ever wanted to start to pick people's brain on what you could do to help our sport, he'd probably be one of the first guys anyone would call to kind of bring in and can you give me some help here in terms of like how do you help the game, college game, how do you help the players, how do you help the institutions. He would be a guy that I would look at and say, hey, ask Fran Dunphy. If you ever had a commissioner of college basketball, he'd be right at the top of the list to be able to help run the sport. He's got a great perspective.
Bingo. That's a perfect match. Coach, one last topic before we go. It might take about an hour and a half. That guy sitting over there, Sebastian Thomas, number one. Just talk about your relationship with him. If you could, retell the story that you told a few coaches shows ago about how, when Sabby was looking for a spot, all of a sudden you were looking for a point guard.
Time and place.
Yeah.
Time and place. And, I don't think Sebastian was on our radar maybe for a month after he decided to transfer.
You thought you were all set there, right?
I mean,
from a positional standpoint.
From a positional standpoint, we had a high school kid committed.
Yep.
As we were going through our deal, we had a high school kid decide he didn't want to come. Immediately, that opened up the ball of wax to say, hey, we need to get a point guard. And just so happens that Sebastian is out there.
Is that relationship point guard to point guard from your playing days, is that a special one as opposed to maybe any other guys?
I've never had success as a coach, whether it be as an assistant or head coach, without great point guard play.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, with the way that we play, and you watch Sebastian play, the ball's in his hands a lot. We put a lot of pressure on our point guard to make plays for others, but we also put a lot of pressure on our point guard, to make decisions offensively and push the ball and do things. He's got a lot of freedom. And when you have a great one, you allow those guys to go. And, I think Sebastian earned the right to feel very, very confident about who he is. And I think very early on he established upon coming here that he was the guy. And he made no bones about, this summer. He made no bones about this fall. And in early practices, there wasn't a whole lot of anybody looking around saying that he's not the most important cog in our wheel. And he's delivered far more than you could probably ever ask somebody to deliver in terms of the results of winning and losing and having a successful season. And my hope for him as we go into this next semester and kind of head into this back stretch of the season is for him to have the best experience he can, and at the end of the day have the best season that he can, and also contribute to the turnaround of a program that's, finally has some stability and at the end of the day is competing to win every game and all those things.
A lot's made of the 5 game-winning shots, 6 if you include the 6 for 6 on the free throw line against Yale to bring that one home.
Yeah.
I remember one question in the post game for either you or Savvy after one of those games was, "Hey, everybody wants to take that last shot, but," and then the question went on, and I'm like, I don't think everybody wants to take that shot. Your thoughts?
Not everybody wants to take that shot. Right. Not everybody has the tools to be able to make the plays. Not everybody has the savvy to figure out how they're going to make the plays. And at the end of the day, it takes big guts. And I think the one thing about him is he has a big chip on his shoulder as a little point guard, and I think that's a huge attribute to have, where it doesn't matter the guy guarding him. It doesn't matter, with the circumstances of the game. He feels he can deliver. So because he feels that way, he's going to. And I think that won't change as he continues to go down the line. And I would also tell, and he'll probably tell you in his first couple years of college, he may not have been that guy. He may not have felt that way. Maybe if he felt that way, he didn't experience maybe some of the same successes that he's had in the last couple of years. And that's part of getting older, getting better. But more importantly than anything about what he's doing, and I talked to him just yesterday about this, he's made some game winners, and he's delivered for our team in a lot of ways. But I tell you what, his floor game is the thing that I watch the most. I know he can score. I know he can get to the basket. I know he can push the ball. But his floor game, where's his assist totals, his turnover totals? How many guys on our team are also scoring double figures? And a lot of it has to do with him in terms of how much he generates with his ability to do both. And since – I don't know, we came off of George Washington where we weren't playing well at all and went down to Richmond, and in that first half really struggled. I think he woke up at halftime at Richmond and said, this one's going to fall on me moving forward. I'm going to have to get going here in a lot of ways. And from that point forward here, man, the correctness of the plays that he's made in games, both scoring, getting fouled, and assists, has been, pretty much the best of the season.
Can I steal you for 2 quick ones about him?
Yeah.
Firstly, can he have the year he's having without the year he had at all, but without getting away and coming back?
No, that's he could.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously could, but to me, what he did for himself is he went out and bet on himself, and he proved to the world that he's the player that he knows he is. And he went out there and he did it. And I don't think once you fight through something or go through something on your own, or you go out there and you bet on yourself and you deliver, that you can ever really take that away from somebody. In life in general, when you have to struggle or you have to find your way or you have to make a decision, to like, this is how I'm going to approach it. This is how I'm going to do it. And you go and actually do it yourself. You can't really ever take away that experience from somebody to, at the end of the day, in their brain, how much they believe in themselves. And I think what he went and did after leaving Rhode Island was he bet on himself. And at the end of the day, he earned the right from the rest of this point in time, when it comes to basketball and life, that he's capable of anything. And I think, that's a powerful thing to go through as a young person. But you're seeing the benefits of somebody that, quite frankly, I always say he's self-made a little bit. But, like, what he did for himself and how he went about it has allowed him to, skyrocket as a player. But more importantly, when he moves on in different phases of things, he should never have, like, a whole lot of doubt about how to handle it, how to do it, and what direction he wants to go. And he'll have great confidence in himself moving forward in a lot of different areas, because it's tough to do that. It's tough to just pick up. As a coach, you do that. You pick up and you go to a new school. And, everything you ever did before, it really doesn't matter anymore.
Sure.
Anything I've ever done in my life doesn't really matter right now. The only thing that matters is Rhode Island, and you're having to go out there, do it, earn the right to kind of like feel that, like, I know what I'm doing.
Right.
And he did that.
Hey, final one. NC State, young Archie Miller, ended up 43% from three in your career, 85% from the free throw line, top 10 in both when you left the school. Had a great career there. Archie Miller then, Sebastian Thomas now. Who's a better point guard?
Oh, Sebastian. Sebastian couldn't shoot like me.
Okay.
There's not that.
You were lights out, coach.
That's not even up for debate. If I didn't want to get hurt, I would go out in the parking lot right now and probably outshoot him. But in terms of speed and quickness, ball skills, the ability level to play up and down, that's not a question in my mind that Sebastian's not a better point guard than me. I'll give him his due, but he can't hold his candle to me shooting the ball.
Candle was a good option there, Coach.
No, that's not only a fact. That's cut and dry.
We might see you on the gym for that.
And
one.
I know from a foul line it's not close, because he's struggling at the line here recently. I don't know what the deal is there, but no. Sebastian at this stage of his career could play anywhere in the country.
Coach, you're the best. We
All
appreciate
right.
you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Archie Miller, everybody. And that's Sebastian Thomas. He's on deck. He's coming up next. We're here at the Mews talking URI hoops. Big one against LaSalle in Philly. Is there another big game in Philly this weekend? The Eagles playing? I think so, yeah. But we got one on Saturday before those guys get going. Back in just a bit. Out near midcourt, Thomas has to make a move. Three to shoot. Long three. Got it! Sebastian Thomas knocks down an NBA three. Over to Thomas, off the dribble, shoots the three, and drops it down, and a foul call as well. Thomas goes baseline, draws some contact, hits the shot, he hits the shot, and it gets fouled as well. To Sebastian Thomas. Thomas spins the lane. Drops it down. Thomas gets two. Rhode Island goes up by one. Thomas brings it up the floor, floats it up from midcourt. Go! Oh my goodness gracious! Sebastian Thomas puts it down. Rhody has the lead. It is Thomas time. All right, that's Sebastian Thomas, our guest for the rest of the show here on the Archie Miller Coaches Show. Some pretty darn good stuff. We had you at the end of the show because that's when you do your best work, right? Usually the last few minutes is Thomas time indeed, or all 40 of them. You usually log about 40 a game. Coach is nice enough to let you rest during media timeouts. I think that's great. Let's just sit down for a little bit. You mind playing 40? Is there a difference between 36 and 40?
Nah, not really.
Right?
Yeah.
You're a young kid.
Yeah, I don't really need a break. I just want to get out there and play. But.
AAU, you play like 8 games a day, right?
Yeah, I know.
40 minutes.
Crazy.
God, Fran and I, we can't go 40. We can't go 4 minutes. But Well, lucky if we're awake for 40 minutes a day. I want to thank our friends at Newport Propane, Rhode Island's #1 choice for all your propane needs. Family owned and operated since 1959. Newport Propane treats you like part of the family. Visit them at newportpropane.com. The Pizza Gourmet, Rhode Island's Wood Grill Pizza Crust, is a proud sponsor of URI football. Order online today at woodgrillcrust.com. That's woodgrillcrust.com. That's Jack and Linda Parenti. And then, of course, Newport Propane is Pete and Jocelyn. They are just fantastic people and great URI supporters. Big fans of Sebastian Thomas as well, as we all are. We all are. 6'1", 175. Think that's me? No, that's Sebastian, 175. Yeah, out of Bishop Hendrick, pride of Bishop Hendrick. And we usually do a know your hometown at the end of the interview. We ask you some questions about your hometown. So I've got some Bishop Hendrick questions for you. You ready?
Yep.
All right. Well, that'll be a little later. Your Rhode Island story. I live in Rumford, Rhode Island, and my parish is St. Margaret's Parish, and you played for St. Margaret's CYO basketball, right? My neighbor, a couple of houses down, is David Chase. He's a good buddy of yours.
Yep, that was my best friend in kindergarten.
Yeah? Oh, was he really? Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, we might see him this weekend. He's at Temple, isn't he?
Yep. Definitely going to shoot him a text before we go out there. So hopefully I can see him for some time, catch up with him.
Yeah, he was at one of the URI games over the break. Adam Gomes, who is another guy in that group. He was going to try to swing by today. He just graduated URI, good friend of yours and a big fan and everything. So that whole hometown thing is pretty cool, right? Yeah. Talk about that.
Yeah, it's just amazing to be back home and see the kids that I grew up with doing their own thing now. Obviously, we're not as close as we used to be, but just keeping in contact with them here and there and stuff like that, updating each other with each other's lives and stuff like that. It's just great to see. Absolutely.
Stats and rankings, 19 points a game, third in the league, 6 assists per game, second in the league, 2.3 to 1 assist-turnover ratio, fifth in the league, 36 minutes per game, third in the league, and you've been logging 40s for most of the way lately. Those early ones, you must have got a couple of 32s in because I haven't seen a lot of 36s out of you. You're usually out there for the duration. 46% from the field, that's top 25 in the league. Also from three-point range, top 25 in the league. And 2.5 steals a game, which is third in the league. Of those numbers, all of them pretty darn good. Which one are you most proud of?
I would say my field goal percentage, probably just coming from the American East Conference. Yep. Mm-hmm. There's not as much size in that league compared to Atlantic 10, so that definitely stuck out to me. And then probably assist, being a point guard and stuff like that, getting teammates involved. I think that's big. How about the steals number? I mean, I love it. Your great anticipation on that pass, point to wing. I think that just comes with basketball IQ, like you said, anticipating the pass and stuff like that, reading the lanes and stuff. I think that's something I do a good job at. You mentioned coming from Albany, coming home. A couple of years here, 1 year at Albany, all-conference, America East led the league in scoring, and then back in the portal for the second time, right? Mm-hmm. And give us a little insight into what that's all about as a player. You put your name in, you're wondering, I'm sure, who's going to show interest. Take us through that's got to be a pretty nervous time. Yeah, it's very overwhelming. A lot of phone calls with different people. And you don't have that much time to make a decision. It's only a couple months. So I feel like whoever you build the best relationship with is probably who you should go with. And in this case, obviously, I already knew Austin Carroll and Archie and stuff like that. So it just made the most sense for me to come back home. I trusted Austin. Obviously, that's why I came here in the first place, my freshman year and stuff like that, and our relationship just continued to grow. I want to tell two stories. The first one's about Austin. After the Davidson game, that was the last one, right, where you hit the bank shot to win it. So you come out after, and when most people are gone, and Austin's dad sits a couple of seats away from me, and great coach in his own right. And you came over to Austin and gave him, and I texted him to say I saw this, one of the biggest hugs I've ever seen anybody give anybody. And I told him, I said, that's a hug to me that says, thanks for believing in me. You know, talk about your relationship with him. Really, he was there with me throughout my whole process at URI, from recruiting me, and then my freshman and sophomore year when things didn't go as well. For me, he was there for me, probably one of the only people who I would consider that was in my corner, just encouraging me and stuff like that, who believed in me, honestly. And then as I went to Albany, we still kept in contact and stuff like that. We would check up on each other. I would ask him about URI and stuff like that. And then as I entered the portal, he texted me one time and was like, "What do you think about coming back?" And I didn't really think too much of it. I thought he was joking. Didn't take him too serious. And then I had talked with my family and stuff like that, and I went up to go see him at URI and have a meeting with him and the other members on the staff. And then we worked it out, and now I'm here, and things are going good for us.
You had to be a consideration for you. So going in, you really didn't have any thoughts of coming back, right? Initially.
Yeah, I didn't really. I wanted to explore something else.
Yeah, right.
At first, yeah.
Right. Now you come back in, and the fit seems to be absolutely perfect.
Mm-hmm.
What were your expectations coming in? Your numbers? I mean, you're playing like a first-team All-A-10 selection and a guy that's a candidate for Player of the Year. Were those your expectations coming in? Did you say, "Hey, I can play at that level"?
Yeah, I knew I could play at this level, but I didn't have any expectation in terms of numbers-wise and stats-wise. I think I just came in trying to be a point guard, trying to help this team fill a role for the team. I knew guys who came back like House and David Green were big parts of the team, and really me coming in, I thought I was just going to help them like succeed even more, just be a little piece, but. I don't.
Just expanded from there.
Yeah, and my stats are unexpected.
I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Coach. I hope you were paying attention. I asked him, could you be doing what you're doing, the special season that you're having now, without that season away from Rhode Island at Albany, where you had that period of growth? And he said probably not. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with him. I don't think I would be in this situation right here if I didn't go through what I went through my sophomore year. And then, obviously, at Albany. But, yeah, if I never went through that in my life, I think I wouldn't be here right now.
Because at Albany, you were the focal point, and it was a different role for you to play. Talk about that.
At Albany, they basically wanted me to come in and run the show. They put a lot of pressure on me, had a lot of expectations for me. And I would say that's where it started and then carried on to this year. So
the other story I wanted to tell was after, I don't know what game, one of those other game-winning games for you. You came, maybe George Mason, sitting next to me over on that court side was a mom and dad and two kids. And one of them had a sign, Sebastian Thomas sign. And you hit the game winner. You guys all went to the locker room. And then you came out with a Sharpie. Tell the rest of the story.
I saw throughout the game he had a sign with my name on it. I thought it was pretty cool. It's just an amazing feeling to have little kids look up to you, have fans in general. So after the game, I went over, signed my autograph. I think we may have took a picture. But, yeah, that's just an amazing feeling. I'm glad I can make his day. I think that's what it's all about. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than basketball. It's just putting a smile on someone else's face.
There's a lot of guys that make big shots and a lot of different games that go around. What you did there, and I had a front row seat for it. So you come over and you talked with the kid for a little while and everything. Made his day. You made his week. You made his month, his season. That was big time. I was so proud of you as a member of the URI family right then. And, and other times as well. But that one was that's it right there. That's it. Talk about your people you looked up to when you were playing basketball as a kid. Who any players that stood out to you?
Like famous or
anybody? Yeah, either.
Some of my favorite NBA players growing up were obviously Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook. But I had an older cousin who played Division III basketball at Johnson & Wales in Providence. I kind of looked up to him growing up. And it got to the point where I was old enough, he started training me, and I started learning things from him. And he's still with me today, and he still trains me and stuff like that. So we built a great connection in a relationship with each other. But it hasn't been easy. At times when I was young, he's very competitive, so sometimes I couldn't take it being a young kid, him having expectations and stuff like that. So our relationship was a little bit rocky, but now we're good.
The game winners, PC, Temple, George Mason, Richmond, Davidson, Yale, 6 for 6 down the stretch from the free throw line to close it out in the last couple of minutes. Do you like that role as, you're getting to be a celebrity because of those last-second shots?
Yeah, it's a cool feeling, definitely. I think that's something else every athlete dreams of, hitting a game-winning shot or making a game-winning play. Obviously, it's a great feeling, and I just hopefully it can continue to happen. But I hope that we start winning games a little bit more, so I don't have to do that, or it doesn't come down to that.
Yeah, right. To go from 12 to 14, yeah. We'll win by 14 on your 2-pointer at the buzzer. That'll be nice. But when you look at it in your whole game, that's a very small part of your game. Mm-hmm. Do you think, hey, listen, I do a lot of other stuff for the other 39 minutes too?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. That's just a small part. That's probably what a lot of people know me as now, or someone who you guys can count on in the clutch or the last couple of minutes of the game or whatever. But I feel like I do a lot more. I feel like the best thing I bring to the table is probably getting other people involved, making plays for others and seeing them score or whatever the case may be. But I think my best attribute to the game of basketball is probably just sharing the ball.
And another thing that I mentioned to Coach, I asked Coach about that. I want to get your thoughts on. In that press conference after Davidson, somebody asked you a question, started it off with, hey, everybody wants to take that last shot, and then the question went on from there. And I'm like, I don't think so, right? I don't think I want to take the last shot. What is in you that makes you want that ball, that pressure? Because, it's great when they go in. Yeah. But, there's the other side of it,
obviously. I think what makes me want the ball is just me hitting some of the shots I've already hit before, and I know I can do it. And, like, the person I am today, I'm very confident in myself. I feel like the others around me on my team, they believe in me. Coach and staff trust me with the ball in my hands to make the right play. Even if I don't shoot the ball, I know I can make a play for others, and I still trust that person to make the shot. So I think that's just what it is.
You mentioned the players around you. They have guys like David Green and have guys on the other side like Jamarcus and others. Make your game easier?
Yeah, for sure. Different guys who bring different things to the table. I mean, we have a bunch of shooters. I think getting David back for us was definitely big, offensively and defensively. But I think without him, teams were able to focus on me or a couple other guys more in a way with him not being on the floor. But now, with his shooting ability at his size, it opens the floor up for our guards to get in the paint and maybe score or play make for others.
How different was it against VCU? That was a swarming defense. I know you drew a lot of attention.
So going into the game, we didn't prepare for that defensive coverage from them. We knew they were going to press and stuff, but more on ball, like having screens, me coming off a screen. We did not prepare for them to double me coming off a screen. We thought they were going to do something different, but they definitely made it tough for us, and obviously their game plan worked. So hats off to them.
We talked about you being a 40-minute guy, and your first halves are great, but your second halves are more productive. Yeah. What's to that? Anything? Are there adjustments at halftime you make, or is it just
I think it's just a switch in my head that goes off like, I have to step up in order to win the game or put us in position to win the game. I think that's really it, because in the first half, I know sometimes I like to just ease my way into the game and stuff like that, which is why at halftime I kind of end the half with like 2 or 4 points, and then I kind of step it up in the second half. So that's definitely something I'm trying to work on for sure.
We talked about your credentials, and right now in the league, how you're right at the top of that list. Do you think about that? Or is it more of a team thing?
I would be lying if I said I would. Yeah. I don't think about it, but I also know nothing is more important than winning. So I'm just trying to win and help my team win as much games as possible, because I know with winning, everyone gets more in the long run.
Absolutely. We usually finish up with a Know Your Hometown with our guys, and usually guys are from all over the country and everything, so you'll learn a little bit about different places up and down the East Coast, and sometimes further away from that. You're just down the road. So we're going to do a Know Your Hometown Bishop Hendricken style. You ready? Yep. Your alma mater. You ready? All right. What street is Bishop Hendricken on?
Warwick Avenue.
Warwick Avenue, right. You're 1 for 1. Congratulations. That's a good start right there, I'll tell you. You beat Fran already. Fran was 0 for 5. Who is the basketball court named after at Bishop Hendricken? Court that you played on. Who is it named after?
Jamal Gomes.
Jamal Gomes is right. Your coach, right? And the athletic director over there, class of 91. You had 2 for 2. And you're lucky to get that. I mean, I'm glad you got that one. You weren't lucky, but Jamal would not have been happy if you didn't get that one. How about the whole gym? Who's the whole gym named after? Another great, but from earlier years. What's the name of the gym that they play ball at Bishop Hendricken? The Ray Pepin Gym. Pepin, right? You got it.
They had 2 gyms. That's what I was thinking.
I'm giving you credit for that one. You got it. Absolutely. I'm a very easy grader. I'll tell you what. You're going to be magna cum laude if you have me in class. This one's going to be tough. I don't know if you're going to. The principal at Bishop Hendricken?
Mr. DeCiccio, right?
DeCiccio is right. Mark DeCiccio is right. Now, you are 4 for 4 on a 5-question thing. I don't know if we've had a perfect – have we had a perfect run this year? I don't think so. So here's the final one. This is away from Bishop Hendricken. This is my own personal. This is a Rumford St. Margaret's hometown thing for you, okay, where you played CYO ball. All right, when you're over at the Chase's house and you're hanging out and you get pizza, where do you get pizza from Rumford, the best pizza in Rumford, Rhode Island? Right up the road, around the corner. Uncle Tony's. Do you get Uncle Tony's?
Yes, I do. I was going to say Big Tony's.
I can't give you credit for that one. I can't help you out there. 4 for 5. That's 80. That's good enough. Yeah. You're still eligible. That's all that matters. Take the trip to Philly, and good luck against LaSalle. Hey, let me tell you something. We're all proud of you. Love what you're doing on the floor, but also greatly respect who you are as a person, and we appreciate you coming home. And we want you nowhere else but right here.
Thank you for having
Sebastian
me.
Thomas, good luck against LaSalle. Got a big one coming up on Saturday, then back home against UMass on Wednesday. Then you get a week off. Yep. I mean, you'll be practicing and stuff, but you get a little bit of a break, get everybody healthy, and go from there. Thanks for being with us, George McAuliffe. Thanks as always. We appreciate you very much. URI basketball from Learfield. We'll talk to you on Saturday from Philly, and see you at the Ryan Center coming up next week on Wednesday against the University of Massachusetts. Thanks for everybody from Learfield, the Archie Miller Coaches Show. See you later. Go Rhody.
You've been listening to the Archie Miller Show. Tonight's show has been brought to you by Rhode Island Medical Imaging, the official medical imaging company of URI Athletics. Dunkin' Donuts, sip the Rhody way. Ortho Rhode Island, the official orthopedic and sports medicine provider for URI Athletics. Pizza Gourmet, Rhode Island's wood-grilled pizza crust, is a proud sponsor of URI Athletics. Bank RI, bank on our strength. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation of the Rhody Sports Network.